don't miss it. In 1 hour, we will talk about it. So my part is how to boost Magento PWAs with SSR. So my approach is, how many of you have experience with PWA? Okay, maybe 30, 25%. So I want to approach it in a way that is understandable even for backend developers. First, I want to present the problem, to circle it a little bit, and then I will show how we solve the problem on a live site and what results we have. So. Just question. So it works for me there, but it doesn't work there. So you can, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I'm Ferenc Varga, I'm the CTO of ITG Commerce. I'm coming from the backend side. So I'm not a PWA developer, but rather a Magento developer. But I was a part of this solution we have built, and I hope I can convey the ideas. And if you have any questions at the end, I hope I can answer them. So the question is, I think there's a lot of controversy about PWAs. Are they needed, not needed? What is the best way to use them, or what is the best front end for Magento? and Hua is one of the options, Luma, and PWAs. So what is wrong? The main question is, what is wrong with the classic website front ends, and why do we need something else, PWAs at all? I think the answer is quite simple. So the monolithic solutions are not applications. Because in the modern age, we have special expectations while browsing the net or using mobile phones. We want them to have all the features of a mobile application can be installed as an app and access the hardware, automatic updates, offline mode, these kind of things. Automatic updates are actually one of the PWA features and not one of the native app features. That's one thing, so we want all the features, naturally. And the other thing is that I think Dan mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the best way the applications can be used is providing a good experience, very good user experience. But it's some kind of somewhat closed. So we'll address this topic as well. But here, what's important is that mobile applications are very fast, and we want that experience for the web applications as well. So if you are using a website on our mobile phone, we want that to be fast as possible. And the traditional front ends not always provide that experience. So the next question is that, okay, we want our applications performant in a way that we detach the head from the body, and the application itself is only responsible for displaying the content, and the head is in the cloud. That's how most of the PWAs work. So most of the PWAs are single-page applications, headless solutions, and this is the way that the PWA solutions fulfill the performance promise. If we separated the backend and the front end, and we only generate the content, the differences. So once the application is downloaded, we have the full application. And from that point on, we only have to take care about generating pieces of the content. And we can pull those pieces directly from the server in a pure data format. And it's very easy to generate the differences. So that's why PWAs are mostly SPAs. And this is the performance advantage of PWAs over classic frontends that they use client-side rendering. So client-side rendering is a huge thing. We can boost the performance with that, especially on mobile devices. And why do SPAs perform better? As we mentioned, because of client-side rendering. And if we look at, this is a demo store of Magento PWA Studio. If we are navigating within the applications, once it is downloaded and once it's on a phone, it's extremely easy to navigate. And even going backward is even faster because the content is coming from the cache. So then we have the answer. If we have exceptional performance, we have to use SPAs and we have to use client-side rendering. Is that correct? Not always and not exactly. So what is wrong with client-side rendering when we are using headless applications and rendering the content on the front-end side? The answer is the problem is client-side rendering because the root document, the first piece of HTML code that is downloaded from the server, doesn't really contain any content. It's virtually empty. So if you look at it with our human eyes or bots look at it, they don't say anything. It's empty. They have to do some extra work to interpret it and figure out what it is all about. And what is the case for the crawler bots? In a normal scenario, what you can see at the top, when the HTML is already generated, then the crawler just crawls the content. The HTML is there, the content is there. They only have to process it and then index it. Everything is fine. But in the case of SCR, client-side rendering, and headless architecture, the bots have to add this HTML to a render queue, which is expensive, which is not for free. The client-side rendering is very resource heavy. They have to render the content so that they turn this meaningless content into something meaningful, and only then they can add it to the index. So that's a huge problem, because even though this process works and Google does this, or other SEO bots do this kind of thing, but they don't do so often and they don't do it so efficiently, and there are problems. So that's one problem with client-side rendering. The other problem is, which is I think more visible for us, is the first page load performance and experience. And we will talk about it on the next slide. So what is this first page load issue? The problem here is that, as you can see, it's a performance measurement from GT metrics actually. Something happens between the first image or the largest content in this page, and it's something that is happening is invisible, and it takes time. So the more complex CSR application is more functionality, more things to do, the bigger this gap is. And why is that gap there? Again, only when we are loading the page, first page load. for the first time. Then everything switches to client-side rendering, and it becomes much faster. So what happens? So we have to load the HTML. It's the easiest thing. Then we have to load the code of the app, the JavaScript code. Then we have to bootstrap the app. And then we have to load the data via the API. And then generate the HTML. And only then the browser can display it. So this gap is actually a huge problem. And we have to do something about it. So how can we fix this SEO issue and the gap? The answer seems to be easy, and somewhat easy, is of course with server-side rendering. So if the main problem is client-side rendering, then why not solve it through server-side rendering? And actually, what happens here, the same process that we mentioned, we initialize the application, bootstrap the app, pull the data via the API, and generate the HTML happens on the server side. And then we have almost no gap on the front-end side because the HTML already contains all the data as soon as it touches the browser. Then with SSR, we solve the problem of client-side rendering. Is that correct? Not exactly. We have to do some other things. So what is wrong with server-side rendering? The vanilla server-side rendering, I would say. The problem is that with SSR only, we only moved this gap, moved the problem to the server side, and we didn't really eliminate it. It still takes time to go through all these steps, even though probably the server has a better hardware and so on, and it's easier to render the content, but still it takes time. That's problem one still. And we have another problem, which is on the client side. Then the HTML that is generated by the server is a somewhat dead content. It's it's not live. We have to rehydrate it so that it's functional. We can click on the content. It's responsive and so on. Because the point of client-side rendered applications are that they're feature-rich. They have functions. You can interact with them without this rehydration. You cannot interact with the application. So, okay, we are moving. Seems we are moving to the right direction with SSR, but we still have two problems. Okay, how can we fix SSR on the server side? Who is a Magento backend developer here? Okay, a lot of Magento backend developers. And our number one solution for any issues is varnish. Is that correct? So if you don't use varnish, the performance is bad. So we can recycle this idea. Why don't we use server-side rendering on the backend side and then generate the content and then cache it? And since Magento is already familiar with varnish, why don't we use varnish? And it's one of the most performant solutions. So a good solution, a good way to address the problem is using HTML cache and varnish. But then we have to take care of some other things as well. So it's not enough to cache the content. We have to take care of cache invalidation as well. As we know, it is one of the most crucial, difficult problems of computer engineering, cache invalidation and naming things. Here we have a problem of cache invalidation. So we have to be careful with that. And as an additional step, we can use dynamic cache warmup. And And that's it as far as the backend side is concerned. But we still have something to do on the front-end side with rehydration. Because what happens on the front-end side? Okay, let's say we have the server-side generated content which is readily available. It can be downloaded right away. But we have to go through this rehydration. And what happens to rehydration? The JavaScript application, whatever version of it is, can be React, Vue.js, you name it, has to be bootstrapped and has to communicate with the server, pull the data again from the server, and rehydrate the content. So what can be a good solution for that? Solution can be used especially in PWA Studio, where we use Apollo as a GraphQL client, is what we call the cache restoration. Cache restoration works in a way that, since during server-side rendering we already have the pure data content on the server, because we use that data that we fetched through the API from the Magento backend server to generate the content, the data, and actually in a cached version already available at the backend side, we only have to dump this cached data from Apollo, which lives on the server as well, dump it and made it available for the client side. And just as a first thing of rehydration, it's not really visible, but there's a small code segment there. So we are just restoring the cache, and all the data, everything is available right away in a few milliseconds. And the rendering part is actually the easiest part if you have the data, and we can have very good largest contentful paints. In this case, it's around 800 milliseconds. So just a quick recap of what we did. So first, we realized that to be able to provide an app-like experience on mobile devices, we definitely need client-side rendering. Without client-side rendering, it will just be not the same as, or not even similar to native applications. That was our PWA 1.0 version. But when we started to customize the solution, we realized that client-side rendering has a few issues. One of two issues actually. We solved these two issues: SEO problems and first page load problems through SSR. SSR was not perfect as either at the beginning. Had two issues again. We solved them, and now we at PWA 2.0, let's say that. And now everyone is happy. The bots are happy because they have pre-generated content, and we don't need to use any external tool. We have good Lighthouse scores and mobile-like experience. Not even after the application is downloaded, but during the first page load as well. Okay, how did we do it? So we just a summary of a few things. So the real tricky thing happens at the middle. I'm not sure if it's very visible, but the main idea is that we have two one-ish caches. One is for the GraphQL, this is standard Magento, and one for the SSR generated content. And we even make sure that this content is always in the cache, even if it is invalidated. And we have some graceful cache invalidation in place. And with that we can get very, very fast results. And I want to showcase this to you through an example, Calypso.com. It's a global modest fashion webshop operation based on PWA Studio. It has a very complex PDP page. And the PDP page is so complex that it consists of sometimes 3 bundle products. And even one single bundle product can have hundreds of variants with all the images and so on. So it's not a typical vanilla PWA. And without server-side rendering, the performance was not ideal at all. The FPC score was above 5 seconds. And after implementing all this solution, we got very good results, even on the complex page. You can see a very complex product page. And the first page load experience and the largest contentful paint, which is the key factor of performance measurement, is around 1 second. And we have similar results on the category pages. And as you can see, this is an example of how we eliminated that gap. So this gap, in this case, I can only look at, yes, it's around 70, 100 milliseconds. It's instantaneous, actually. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Any questions? Yes, please.
Hello. Hi, my name is Ritin KDL. I am a development manager in Quora. So we are doing PWA projects like for more than 3 years now. And we did faced all these challenges like, front-end site caching and performance-related thing. And I really appreciate whatever you showed. But, later we found a easier solution that, we got this web scale server service provider. And, just like Magento Cloud, they have this admin utility from where we can, enable caching, put the front-end site in maintenance mode, and many other things which they provide. So then after that, it really gave us a lot of relaxation, to handle all these things. So I just want to ask that where we are hosting front-end now, like in ITG.
I think as I mentioned, cache invalidation is key here. So with this solution, we have full control of the caches because we add the same tags actually to the generated HTML, the SSR content. We add the same Magento tags like category XYZ, like, for example, category 102, and we list all the items, all the entities on that page. And when we change the content on the backend side, Magento admin side, and we change the description of a product, then the same thing happens as it happens with the standard Magento varnish. The cache is invalidated right away, and then you have the fresh content, and you don't need to have any external tools to cache it. So it's built in, and if needed, we can fine-tune this solution and start doing partial rendering, partial rehydration, and so on. So there's much more way to fine-tune this solution, and it's the same code can be used both on the front-end side and the back-end side. So this is a huge advantage. We use these kind of tools as well to an external kind of cache, but it was not very efficient, and it was not live at all. Yes, please.
Sorry, I have a question. The rehydration, Is that part of PWA Studio, or you wrote it?
No, we added that part. So in order to make SSR work in a proper way, rehydration is essential. And probably the special thing we did there is that we did this through the Apollo cast restoration, which is quite efficient and instantaneous. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.